Hi there, and welcome to Insomnia Insight number 405. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Welcome. I hope you'll find a lot here that's helpful to you. And if you are a member of the community, then of course, welcome back. So in this episode, we are going to look at a very common phenomenon that can often be quite scary. And I call it the super sleep illusion. And I think, again, many of you will recognize yourself and have experienced this. So let's take a look at what it is. And then we're going to see a look at like three kind of tips or insights that can be helpful in terms of like meeting this and getting to a place of peaceful sleep for the rest of your life. Okay, let's jump into it. Super sleep illusion. What is this? Well, it is the kind of like when you based on how you feel, when you wake up, you estimate sleeping a long time, but it was much shorter. This is what happens. So the way this is often expressed is like, oh my gosh, I feel like I sleep like 6 hours, but when I check, it was only 15 minutes or something like that. I felt like I slept the whole night, but it was only a few minutes, something of that nature. That is the super sleep illusion. Now, why is this important to talk about? Well, it is, again, because this is scary. Anything that makes you think that there's something kind of wrong with your sleep or something strange and unusual is happening to you can lead to like more worry, more preoccupation, trying to find out what's happening, experimenting, and kind of keeping the struggle going. Of course, anything that takes you into the direction of finding that what's happening to you is actually normal, common, and unremarkable, that really leads to peace. So that's why I want to talk about this. And now, we're going to take a look at why this happens. So what's going on with the super sleep illusion, and why do I call it that? Well, here's the key thing. The key thing is when you wake up, the reason the brain thinks that you slept a long time is that you wake up and you are really completely awake and alert, vigilant. And, the brain has this idea that the only thing that can really make you wake up and feel like completely awake is if you have slept a long time. And it's quite easy to see how the brain can get this idea, because oftentimes when we slept a little and the alarm goes off and we didn't get much sleep, we're kind of like groggy, we want to sleep more, we're, like that. And so based on that, and maybe previously in your life, you slept a longer stretch of time and only then did you wake up feeling alert, then easily the brain can get this idea that if you wake up and you feel very alert and awake, the only thing that can explain that is if you've slept a long time. So that is the key here. The brain interprets the way you wake up as an evidence that you slept for a long time. However, in reality, full wakefulness after little sleep is completely normal in the context of insomnia. Because what happens in insomnia is that the brain has started to believe that you are under some form of danger. There's a threat picture happening, like something is there that can harm you. In the case of insomnia, it is the idea that actually being awake itself is the threat, that thing that can harm you. So, when you're sleeping, the brain is in this kind of like survival mode, like hypervigilant mode. And when you wake up, everybody wakes up from sleep, but when you wake up and you've had insomnia, you wake up a little bit, the brain takes notice of the fact that you're awake and it goes like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the thing. This is the threat. It's happening. I'm awake. And then you wake up fully awake, And it's, this can happen also if you, it often happens that like when anyone who haven't had trouble with sleeping has, for example, like a flight, across, a flight to another continent at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. They're so worried about missing out on this flight that they wake up and like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's that? Oh my gosh, it was only 5 minutes. And this happens over and over again. So when there's some type of threat, something that the brain's worried about, this phenomenon is completely normal and expected. You can very well wake up fully alert even after just a few minutes of sleep. Nothing strange or unusual about this. So if you experience this, and by the way, why do I call it the super sleep illusion? Well, it is because it is an illusion. It's an illusion that you somehow had this sleep that just like gave you so much wakefulness that it was out of proportion. Like there's something wrong with my sleep. Like I get too much wakefulness from just a little bit of sleep. So that's why I call it the super sleep illusion. Now, how can you meet this? Well, I created like 3 points, and really the first one is just awareness. I think this is by far the most, what helps the most. It's like understanding that this is normal, expected, nothing strange. Then when it happens, like you wake up, you're fully alert, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. In the past, I used to think this meant I had slept a long time, but now I realize it can just be a sign of some hyper arousal, nothing strange or unusual. Awareness, really, really helpful. Now, number 2 is really just a question. It's kind of a rhetorical question, really, which is, how do you know that you only slept, in this example, 15 minutes? How do you know you only slept 50 minutes and that wasn't longer or shorter for that matter? And the point here is, of course, to sort of make you say, well, I checked the time. I knew about what time I fell asleep and what time I woke up. And that's really helpful to see that you are monitoring, to see that you're keeping track of how long you slept. And it's very natural to do that when you've had trouble sleeping, because the brain wants to have some sense of control and understand what's happening, which in many circumstances in life makes total sense. But when it comes to sleep, it's very tricky, because it is the attempt at trying to control sleep that is why you have trouble sleeping. So just when you see this, like, okay, I know this happened because I checked the time, then you can easily move towards a place where you're like, you don't check the time, you don't monitor how much you slept, you don't keep any track, you don't track anything. That makes things more peaceful. That's number 2. And number 3 here is just another kind of, not rhetorical in this case, but just like a helpful question, which is, what do you anticipate, feel the moment before you check the time? So let's say you have this happening, you wake up, you're fully alert, and then you're just about to check the time, and then you go like, wait a minute, what am I thinking, feeling right now? And probably there is a sort of like nervous excitement and mixed in with fear happening. There is sort of an excitement that maybe I slept for a long time, which would then go towards feeling like I did it. I finally slept a long time. I'm on my way to beating this thing. Like I can do this, excitement, victory. There's that kind of that hope before you check the time. Maybe I did sleep a long time. And there's also fear. Like, what if I didn't sleep a long time, right? And you see it's only 50 minutes, and then it's like puzzlement, like, oh my gosh, it was only 15 minutes. What is wrong with me? Like, something is really wrong with me, like defeat, stronger anxiety, puzzlement, and you can see that this, no matter what happens, it is not really the path towards peace. Because if you did actually sleep a long time, then you feel like, yes, this was a victory, I'm going to do this again. But then shortly after, you have this kind of sense of excitement, kind of like, how do I do this again? What did I really do? How can I replicate this? And you can see this leads to performance anxiety and more trouble sleeping. And similarly, when it was a short period of time, you're like, what did I do wrong? It's the same thing. It also creates just performance anxiety. So, and just being mindful of this, just knowing that, my brain is trying to like problem solve and figure it out, and that is the struggle. That really helps, and you have a very good opportunity to do this, to be mindful of this just before you check the time, and maybe you'll decide not to check the time. So final word here is that really, there's a lot that can help when you have trouble sleeping, but one of them is timelessness, and timelessness is really an answer to sleeplessness, and I believe also to the super sleep illusion. Hope you found this helpful. I would be very, very happy to hear if you've had this experience or any thoughts, comments. Very welcome. Please post them in the comment section. And with that said, as always, if you find that you have everything you want and need, all the clues, or what's the word I'm looking for? All the insights are here on the channel. That is perfect, because I started this channel with the goal of providing everything you need if you have trouble sleeping. But if you need a little bit more help and support on your path to sleeping well for the rest of your life, then do head over to thesleepcoachschool.com, and you can find ways that you can work with myself. So yeah, with that said, hope you found